Hi, everybody. Let's talk about the topic of strangulation. So I have covered so many domestic violence cases over my career as a crime reporter, and we used to call it choking, right? Oh, he choked her. Oh, we choked her out. But a few years ago, law enforcement and all those who work with domestic violence victims says they're not going to call it choking anymore. It needs to be called what it is, which is strangulation. I have so many women in the affidavits that I read and the interviews that I do. So he strangled her until she lost consciousness. He strangled her until she peed her pants. He strangled her and she doesn't remember what happened. So you guys, all domestic violence experts will tell you now that if a person is likely to strangle you, then they are 7 to 11 times more likely to kill you. And so many of these cases happen on a regular basis. And maybe there's no visible injuries on the outside, but my experts say that that's pretty common, that what you need to look for when you go there is to see if they sound hoarse, if there's a change in their voice. But oftentimes, because the damage is done on the inside, what you see is the symptoms show up later. I've seen victims who later had a stroke, who have had seizures, who ended up with brain damage, but not necessarily the day the strangulation happens, which is why it's so important. And when some of our domestic violence victims go to our safety center here, they'll say, are you bleeding? Are you having chest pains? Have you been strangled? I mean, that's how important it is, so they can get a clear medical picture. I tell people all the time when I talk to these victims, they're like, Lori, he just shoved me. He just kicked me. He just pushed me down. Oh, he just hit me, but apologized. But that, you guys, all of that is a lie, right? Because if he's going to do that, that's going to escalate. But I'm telling you, if a person is willing to strangle you, which is literally bringing you to the brink of death and then letting you live, and I've seen suspects do it over and over. They'll strangle them until they're almost passed out and let them breathe. They'll strangle them again until they almost pass out and let them breathe. That is all about a person who is willing to take you to the brink of death and beyond. And you need to take that seriously as a victim. Just now, like law enforcement in the last several years has really started changing the laws, prosecuting people more for these strangulations and taking that seriously. So if you have a friend or